we should call this
muted, though.
meeting to order of the Central Vermont Career Center Board. And welcome, everybody. Do we have any guests online? See, we got Wayne, Scott, Jason, and Guy. Hi, you guys.
I can't join it.
If you look
Super
at your
quiet.
email,
They're being quiet, so we're called to order and we're
Because it'll have the
recording.
link at the end of the
Are we
email.
recording, Jody?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Is there a technical problem?
It's just Guy was really quiet, so I wanted to make sure that.
We want Guy to be able to feel free to speak.
Are you okay?
hi, Guy.
Hi, guys.
Guy's muted.
He's muted?
No, I think it's just.
It doesn't say muted.
You want to say something, Guy, just to check?
I'm good.
Okay.
Okay, now we can
You're
hear
just
you.
super
But
quiet.
it's,
Thank
that's all.
you.
it's not loud, though. It's not very loud.
Oh, well, you can't do anything about that.
That's all right.
No, I
Now
think it's on our
We'll
end.
just listen carefully.
You sound good to me, Guy.
There you go.
Yeah, it's just quiet on our end.
Yeah.
Scott always has something to say.
All right, well, let's get to the agenda. Comments not on the agenda. Agenda revisions or board comment, or public comments and correspondence. Do we have any agenda revisions or board comment before we get started?
Is the agenda revision where we should put in, because we want to talk about the retreat?
Yes.
Yeah. So,
So we're going to talk about the retreat at the end,
Under,
correct?
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, but you have to put
We
Where-
just had
where it
to,
says-
we just had to say, oh, we need a motion to
add it to the agenda.
add to the agenda.
Okay.
So I'll move that we add the, talking about the retreat to the agenda.
I'll second it. Because it goes under future agenda items.
There you go. It sure does. All those in favor of adding that to the agenda?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Any other revisions to the agenda or board comments?
I have one thing that I wanted to bring up. Back in the March meeting, March 24th, when the board was going through authorizing signatures and designated committee membership and so on, one of the things that the board did differently this year than past years was they authorized only contracts can be signed by the board chair. And in previous years, the board has authorized it both by Jody, the superintendent, and by the board chair. Todd's been doing an awesome job, but I thought maybe we could have that discussion because I do anticipate we're gonna be getting a lot of anything. It means Jody can't authorize anything.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah,
I thought that.
Oh, so we
I
need
thought that
to-
was discussed and it was agreed to.
the minutes don't reflect that. They reflect that she can sign employee contracts and the warrants. It doesn't, but specifically it says contracts are only for the board chair to sign.
Can we do that now, or do we have to make a motion to add it to the agenda and then talk about it later?
You have to add it.
Yeah, you need to
All
add
right,
it.
so I
and then
move
talk
to
about it
add
later.
discussion over who has contract signing
Yeah.
privileges.
Yep.
You second it?
Where are you proposing we discuss that?
Same place.
Future agenda items?
Well, at the beginning,
I think
maybe.
that would be an action item.
It's an action item, maybe just before future agenda items.
Board discussions and action items.
5.8.
Are we going to executive session?
Yeah, 5.8. Under board discussion and action items,
Okay.
5.8.
Okay. Good, well, that's
Do we need
exciting.
to vote on that, or? Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor of?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. We'll discuss that in 5.8. Excuse me.
I did want to note that Carl Madison is here and Sue Paxman joined us online.
Sorry about that. Why don't you take over next?
Okay. The consent agenda 3.1, the approval of minutes from 4/13/26.
So moved.
Have a second? Second. Discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Sounds really
Thanks, Lyman. I'm ready to go back. Do
All
we have any
right.
public comments or correspondence? Jody, is there any correspondence?
I'm trying to think.
I don't think there was.
I don't think so.
Okay, let's move on to board reports. Is there a student representative with us
Sophie will
today?
be here. She will be here today.
Oh, cool.
She's going to be here a little later.
In
and-
person or online?
Good question.
Okay.
I think probably online because she was planning on coming immediately after she got out of work,
Hmm.
but it could go either way.
Great, well, that'll be fun. We'll look forward to hearing from her. And next is program presentation, update on EMS programming, high school and adult students. Who's giving that? Are you giving that?
Carl is. He's
Carl.
going to just come chat with us. You can come up here.
Yeah, please join us, Carl.
No pressure. I invited Carl to just talk about how it's going with the adult ed programming, and then also just an update on what we're doing with first versus a second year student in the high school program for next year. And so he's just going to share some ideas that he has and where we're working on right now.
Yeah, so lots of things going on. So I have there's one student that's applied to continue doing the second year EMS level for next year, which will look different than previous years. This is like the third or fourth iteration of the second year EMS programming. The way it's kind of mapped out, and there may potentially be a second student. They haven't officially decided whether they're coming back or not next year. But right now there's one that is confirmed, and they are going to be doing advanced level EMS coursework, starting with the advanced EMT and potentially the paramedic program that we have here as an adult ed kind of agreement that we have with the UVM Health Network paramedic program that we are a alternate lab site for. So it'll depend on how they do through the first half of the year, whether they feel they're ready to go into the paramedic level. The other piece of it that I am working on is actually creating an internship for that student. So probably about 2 days a week, they will be out working with one service that they'll be assigned to. And because the student is not only interested in EMS, but the fire side as well, we'll be connecting them with Berry City Fire. I had an hour and a half long meeting last week with the chief, and he is all on board and very supportive of that concept and stuff. So he's got the plan that I kind of created and looking it over, and is going to be giving me feedback on if there needs to be changes from their side to make it work. And we're also working with our co-op coordinator who, that's ultimately would be part of that process as well.
Is that a first for us to have that collaboration with the fire department?
It used to be, the EMS program was fire and emergency services long before this.
It makes sense, it's nice.
Yeah, so prior to me coming here, the year prior to me coming here was the last year that there was the fire side here. And it was decided to just focus on the medical side because the number of students wanting the fire side was very much kind of sliding off.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
only like one or two in that last
Yeah.
year of that. And there are occasionally ones that kind of pop up that are interest in the, both fire and EMS. And this might be an avenue to kind of a way for that to be kind of brought back on some level for
Yeah.
students that have that interest, having this kind of internship that's available for them to get that experience.
Nice, thank you.
And then the other piece with that student, so the students got a lot on their plate for next year. They are going to be working with the co-op students on Monday and taking the college level coursework that they do, that the co-op students are doing on Monday.
Quantitative reasoning.
Yes, math course that they're, so they'll have potentially a lot to do, but it will only benefit them in the long run. so.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great.
I think as far as the adult ed, we have the first kind of pilot of the paramedic program here.
Yeah.
And so you're doing that labs every other Thursday with
Yes.
students here. And we're just slowly transitioning other trainings from outside into the building. There are a couple that are going to stay outside. There's the one at Norwich University, which happens every
fall,
January?
or every
Fall?
January.
Every January.
Yeah.
So that one will stay there, but we, basically all of the instructors for any of the EMS for District 6 and 8 are now paid through us. And so there are employees at this point, which is awesome. We have this huge repertoire of teachers for EMS. So don't get hit by a bus or anything.
So you're not going to Williston anymore?
No.
No.
That's great.
We've shifted gears and are now collaborating with the UVM Health Network and have an official agreement with them to do, for the paramedicine program. And it's nice that they wanted to expand their program, and having a lab site in Central Vermont just opens up the student pool even more for that program.
So this seems to be evolving really well. Are you seeing benefits from it? Are you excited about it?
We're still early on in the whole process.
Yeah.
Since we've done the other collaboration with EMS District 6 and 8, which is different than the paramedic program because that was with the UVM Health Network, we've had one EMT class that just finished up the Norwich EMT class that was under our umbrella. We've done 3 or 4 refresher courses, which are, courses so the EMS providers can get enough credits or help with their credits to be able to recertify their licenses. And then 2 or 3 entry-level EMS programs called the Vermont Emergency First Responder, which is a 16-hour course that's kind of an entry-level course to get kind of people in the door and hopefully up in moving up the ladder and taking EMT courses and other and furthering that, which there's been 2 or 3 around the region that we've had under our umbrella as well. So we've been doing a fair amount of EMS programming with these collaborations that have been pretty successful overall.
That's great. So you're happy with enrollment?
Yes. Yep. The paramedic program, I think because of the timing and just it was a new site and just was not a long, time to advertise the site. We've got a small cohort this year, but we are working on strategies to be able to, increase the numbers for the next paramedic program that starts in January.
Good.
I think it's a great time to transition, don't go anywhere, Carl, transition to our students. And so Sophie is here and so is Reese. And they're actually both EMS students. One is a first year, one is a third year.
Wow.
So you could ask them some questions, put them right on the spot about their experience, but also they can share what's going on. I think, Sophie, you're part of student leadership too. So take it away.
So if we're going solely based off of student experiences, I think a lot of it is just teamwork and skill building right now, especially now that we have our scenario final coming up, I think later this month. We're doing a lot of, leading, and like one person will take control over the scenario, and we'll do a lot of guiding other students and encouraging them and working together, especially like me. I have a really pretty solid foundation, but I still rely really heavily on my other classmates because, there are still things that I'm not proficient at, and that's okay, but I'm getting there.
This class has helped me tremendously. I started off not knowing where I was going to go with things and what I wanted to do, and Carl helped me see that spark in EMS. It kind of gave me a purpose. So, and then if it wasn't for the paramedic class as well, I would have had to go back to my secondary school. So being able to be here and be connected in the community is amazing. And now I'm working out in the field all because of Carl and his class. So.
Is this your fourth year with us, Reese?
Yes, it is.
So you graduating?
Yes, I graduate next month.
Oh my God.
Yep.
So what are you doing after?
I plan to work with Berrytown Ambulance while I'm working towards my mortuary license, which Carl has also helped me tremendously through that process and giving me different avenues and how to successfully go through it.
And you're about to do early childhood.
I am, yeah. I spent my first year in exploratory. I was pretty dead set on EMS, especially because my cousin came through and worked with Carl, I think 3 or 4 years ago now. And, I got the opportunity to work with him, which I thought was incredible. And I worked with Bob on our lab days, which has also been tremendously helpful. And then next year I'm following into my early childhood ed unit. I'm very excited for that.
I'm excited.
I feel like the amount of hands-on skills and things that Carl teaches, it's really crucial for a lot of kids our age to be able to explore even different healthcare fields and, see if this is really what we want to do, and if it isn't, help us figure out what other avenues we can explore. So.
And Carl makes this point a lot, especially when we have tours come in, that just because you're taking EMS doesn't mean you have to be dead set on becoming an EMT. There's so many other opportunities and gateways that going through EMS opens up, especially like once you pass your NREMT, you have the opportunity to take and complete your LNA, which I think is awesome because that's a gateway into the hospital.
Right.
But then again, it's like you're getting that patient care experience, like first person, especially because he has us doing so much with ambulance crews in the counties, and I think that's really beneficial for building skills as well, as I mentioned earlier.
Did both of you think that this was your pathway when you first walked in the door of exploratory?
Absolutely not. I didn't really have an interest in healthcare. And then I had the chance to sit down with both Bob, Robert Bauer, and Carl. And Carl pretty much told me, like, you can do this. I know you can do it. I can tell that this would be a great field for you to go into. Why don't you just try it? So I did, and I was a little hesitant at first, but I loved it. I fell in love with the teaching, working, helping out the community.
So you surprised yourself.
Yeah, I did. I really did.
So what would you tell students back at sending schools, wherever you came from, that would excite them to want to come here and try the path that you've both taken?
I mean, it's free college classes to an extent. I mean, you get a lot more opportunities if regular school, like book work and stuff, isn't really your thing and you need more hands-on. Because a lot of kids like me, it's hard to focus and sit at a desk all day long and not be physical hands-on. I think that's been a great opportunity. It's helped me actually get my grades up tremendously. My attendance went up, everything went up because I actually enjoyed coming here every day and being able to see my peers and my classmates and even the teachers. I love it.
That's awesome.
Even Carl.
Oh, yes.
What about you?
Sorry, can I just ask the question?
Yeah, what would you tell your peers back at the sending schools to inspire them to apply and come to school here?
Yeah, I think, adding on to Reese just a little bit, it's not like you're introduced to this through a little bit of book work, but it's not like you're just thrown into it after reading. You have conversations with Carl. He's actually learned through us that we prefer him talking at us than watching a video because we have that communication and like I can ask a question and I can get an answer, and it makes sense because he understands how to communicate with us, especially because we all have varying needs. It's not like he has a baseline and he expects us all to be there. He understands that we're on different levels and he's able to accommodate us all, and I think that's really awesome, especially because it's not a massive class like maybe general high school would have. We're able to have that one-on-one with him.
That's great. Good for information for us to have as well.
I think it's important to connect something that the two of them said with what Carl was talking about earlier, is that when he's teaching that lab class for the paramedic program, we were able to bring Bob Bauer back, who was riffed from a position here, so he's back to a 0.1, 0.01, whatever that is, 0.1, and he comes in every other Thursday and works with the students, and they do basically practice what they need to do for the assessment, and I think that's been a great partnership. It's always great to have both Carl and Bob in the building, for sure. So it's been a wonderful resource, and if we're looking at next year, it may require Bob in the building, 0.2, to support both the first years when Carl's working with AEMT, and then second, the whole program when he's working with the paramedic pieces. So it's important to recognize that might be a requirement and an opportunity for us.
Yeah, that is an opportunity,
That would
and
be
Bob
good.
is open to that.
So far,
Okay, there you go.
That would be for the next school year,
yeah.
and we budgeted somehow, some way.
It's paid for by the adult ed program, yeah. So it does get that, and Bob has let us know he can't come back full-time. It's not something that he's interested in doing, but he does like this ability to come back once a week or once every other week and work with students and continue. And he does some of the adult ed programming as well for us.
Excellent.
So he's able to do a variety of opportunities without having to stick to a full-time schedule. So he's partially quasi-retiring,
Yeah,
but not fully.
best of both worlds for him.
Yeah.
Correct.
So I am, I'm new on the board, retired guidance counselor. So. But I'm just wondering, when you talked about the exploratory, so it starts in 10th grade. Is that when you started the exploratory? When does it?
Exploratory is for 9th or 10th
Ninth or
graders.
10th grade, yeah.
24 students, 24 very lucky students get the opportunity to go to exploratory and explore all of our programming.
We both were 9th graders, correct?
Yes.
Yes, I was in my freshman year.
Yeah.
Freshman. And that exposed you to everything. You did that all year.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The really awesome thing about exploratory that I learned, it's Mr. Hammond makes this point. He's one of the instructors. There's Stephanie Olson and there's Tim Hammond. He makes a point that you might come in knowing what you want to do, but you can't be closed-minded about the rest of what they provide here. It's like you have to, take that extra step and try everything out because you might learn some things that you didn't know. I was fully dead set on, something in the medical field, but I ended up finding out that I was also really interested in plumbing and heating, and I was really torn between EMS and plumbing and heating. And I think that wasn't something I expected coming out of exploratory. But you know, my heart and soul right there.
And I wanted to go through automotive before I actually went into Expo. And I mean, I didn't know I wanted to. I had a lot of car issues. But, you know, I came into EMS 1 one day, and we focused the whole week on one specific class. And I came in here, and I found it a lot more interesting than any of the other classes, and then slowly I realized that that was kind of what I wanted to do, especially after applying. I got in, getting to know the instructors and the curriculum and how they teach. It was perfect.
Yeah, I think the shadow days that exploratory offers, I think that's also really helpful because you don't spend a day, they don't cater to you on those shadow days. They don't give you certain things to do. It's you spend a day in that class to see what it's like, to see how the teacher interacts with the students and the way that they apply their curriculum to the class. And I think that's kind of like what got me dead set because, again, everything is so accommodating because everyone is able to have that individual one-on-one or like small groups. You're able to have these conversations with instructors that I personally believe I wouldn't be able to have outside of the Central Park Career Center.
Give you access
I think you could have those conversations anywhere.
Right.
But it's really nice though that he's willing to bend and adapt to help us learn, even if it at times is challenging for him. He really has helped all of us. I know he doesn't like the spotlight on him, but he's helped all of us, and even this year's class, because I'm in co-op, I only come in on Mondays, but I get to see how far these girls have come and how much they've grown from the beginning, and their love for EMS, watching that grow has been beautiful.
So what year are you in?
I'm currently a sophomore. I went right
Okay.
from Expo into
Okay.
emergency services.
And then next year, early childhood.
And the next year, early childhood, yes.
Are you excited about that? Because it's our new program.
I'm so excited, especially because I was a couple of administrators. We had 2 candidates come in because I was also part of like the get to know my teacher, and I got to kind of experience how she was going to teach us the following year. We didn't just sit there and play with toys, and I thought that was pretty awesome. That's a big part of it.
Playing with
You
toys.
did the first time.
The first time, and listen, it was okay with me. I had a great time. I got to play with like kinetic sand.
It was great. Right. Yeah, I think you have a great instructor coming in.
Very, very excited.
Has she been here at all yet?
I haven't seen her since the day that she came in and interacted with us.
Know what she is we're hiring a lab assistant to help support the program 3 days a week, and we have final interviews coming up. And so I reached out to Oshana, and she is meeting with me later this week. She's going to be part of the hiring committee.
Oh, good.
For that
Great.
final.
Great.
Great.
Great. It's exciting.
That makes sense.
She seems pretty
Any
awesome.
other comments, questions for the board?
And you have to excuse my hearing. I just actually had a hearing assessment last week. I'm getting a hearing aid, too. But did you say you're studying for the licensure for mortuary?
Yes.
Wow. That's really interesting.
Yeah, I learned that there's a lot of connects with EMS and mortuary work, and I knew that in the end was what I was going to go to college for. I just didn't know how I was going to get there, or if it was even a realistic thing to look at. And EMS 1 showed me that there is many different avenues to get there and different opportunities. I mean, you could do a college or apprenticing, and I would have never known that.
So where do you take it? Where will you go to college?
So I was looking at a college in St. Petersburg, Florida, but I decided to not go that route because it was a little too expensive for me. So I plan to apprentice with Hooker and Whitcombs in Barrie.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's great, staying
That's
local.
great.
Yes, they're my family's, or they've worked with my family a lot.
Ah,
So
okay.
they've been great.
Oh, that's cool.
Wow.
Jody, what else are we doing here?
Waiting.
Waiting. We're having a conversation then, and that's okay.
Yeah, there was noise over there, so I went over. It happened to be the night custodian. So he was going to come through here with his radio on, so I just asked him to go the other way.
Well, that's kind of him.
Yeah.
Well, we were going to do something else, right? With Carl?
Yeah, but they're not here yet.
Okay, so do you want to continue the board meeting?
So we'll just have to like tie him here until
Okay, Carl, you're
whatever
welcome to stay.
happens.
No, he
You
has
got
to
here earlier
stay.
than
He
we
has to stay,
Yes, just wait till they get here.
and you're welcome to stay as well.
Carl loves board meetings.
We want you to stay.
Jason has a question.
I got an idea. I'd love to hear about where Jody was in that picture.
Oh. I was at Watkins Glen International Speedway this weekend. Thankfully, I have some folks who reminded me that it's okay to take time off once in a while, and I had the opportunity to go out there. My son works for a couple of different teams. He was a tech on the ARCA car, the one that was in the photo that I sent. That car finished 22nd, which was better than it started, but not where they wanted to be. They ended up having to pull it off the track and fix something, and so it lost a lot of laps, that one. And then the next day in the formerly Xfinity series, now the O'Reilly series, he was on a 35, and he was actually the car chief of that car. And that one, they crashed, unfortunately, out of the race and couldn't keep going. But they gave me the opportunity to leave the track early and go hiking in Watkins Glen State Park, which is beautiful, full of waterfalls.
Nice.
Just amazing. And then I was able to spend a lot of time with my son before dropping him off at the airport yesterday. And so we even did an escape room. I've never done an escape room with just one other person. We failed, but we were above average for that
novices?
room, even though there were only two of us. So I feel really good about that, and we didn't die. So
Even better.
yeah, thanks for asking, Jason.
All right, do we want to move on to committee reports?
That makes sense.
That makes sense. So facility work group recommendation. Who's going to speak for the facilities work group? Maybe Andrew's going to do that.
I can speak to the assessment, but I think Jody might be more appropriate to kind of go over the report.
The recommendation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The facilities group met on last Tuesday to go over the aforementioned work group recommendation report, which is in our packet.
Yeah.
And I can pass it over to Jody for those findings.
Would you like to see the full
Yeah.
slideshow
Show it, yeah.
presentation?
It looks nice.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
And should people come for any other reason, we'll just pause
Yep.
and let that happen.
Get a sneak peek at this.
Yeah.
Let's see what you think about it.
See what you think, because it's different than where we were at before.
And there's been great press. I have to say, it's been clear,
Yeah, so the facilities work group started meeting back in December. December, I think, 28th was the first meeting of this work group, and it did have Todd on it and myself. Flor Diaz-Smith was a part of it occasionally. I think once Cam Featherston was there, one of our architects, for most of the meetings, and when he wasn't, David Epstein was. So we always had a representative there, but everyone else was new. Sue Paxman, who was on our meeting tonight, was a member of that group. And basically, I walked through this with the facilities committee, reminding that we serve 6 sending schools and that we're supporting the regional workforce development, and we keep turning students away. And this year is no different. And that in the fall of last year, we saw a bond vote for a new building, and that bond vote failed. And a lot of the feedback that we received was suggestions for other ideas from people who really didn't know the process that we had gone through, and also a concern about the cost. There was a lot of support for career and technical education and for the Central Vermont Career Center, but there was not support for a $149 million bond.
especially given taxes and the way that people have been talking about those things. I thought it was important to remind everybody, we have been the third largest, we've seen the third largest growth in students enrolled of all the centers in Vermont. You can see we're on that top end. And we have a significant number of students that are available in our region to attend our center. So we have like over 2,000 students, high school students that could attend. We don't have room for all of those students should they all want to, right? If you look at our applications and enrollments, you can see that there's generally been the trend upward. There was that little dip in FY23 in applications. It's been going up. There's a little fall off this year from where we were in the first 2 rounds from last year. I think that's partly because we did send many students, I would say somewhere between 30 and 40 students down to Randolph, and students who are successful there, I'm not going to make them apply here before going back to there. If they're finding success there, they should continue where they're finding success. And so that may have taken away some of the applications that we would have received if we had forced them to go through the process of applying here. You can also see that we've, in general, been increasing the number of students that are here over the years. Next year has our highest number of acceptance so far. That's 231 students. And that does not count some of the second-year cosmetology students who were waitlisted initially to make sure that they hit the prerequisites for this coming school year. So we are above 231 that we've actually accepted at this point. And we have one more round of applications to go through. So the facilities work group first basically said, what is the problem? And they identified the problem. And then they worked through a needs assessment and decided that we should be able to serve 450 students in our center. And that requires approximately 167,000 square feet, which, by the way, was the amount of square footage for our original design up at Baptist Street for the bond that failed. So that was really validating and affirming, even if the decision on where we go is different. So we looked at a lot of options and none of them actually solve the problem in full. Sometimes there are limitations on the site. There's limitations on viable land, for example. Sometimes the square footage that we're going to build falls short of what that 167,000 square feet. There's cost constraints, we know, and I think the work group was pretty clear, and Sue, correct me if I'm wrong here, that we're not gonna see support for something that's over 100 million. It definitely needed below that. And something different to consider as we move forward. And then we were trying to think about what is the complexity of a multi-campus model. Is it really a lot more staffing, or are we going to need that more staffing as we grow, regardless of where we grow, whether it's one facility or two or more? What are the transportation challenges? What scheduling challenges might exist? So we did revisit the Baptist Street as one of the options, because we do have an option on that land through June of 2027. And we reconfigured that a little bit by reducing the square footage, taking out a couple of programs that we had expected to be able to put in there, and making sure that we right-sized the labs so that they met the minimums of the state requirements and were kind of similar to what new builds across New England have been, but didn't exceed that. In some cases, our staff might have really wanted more storage, or they wanted more space to be able to do specific things, and we sometimes reverted back down to a little bit smaller when we were looking at that.
Jody, can I ask a quick question about that? Is, the decision to remove the advanced manufacturing section, that concerned me a little bit, as that to me is the future of where we're going with a lot of the jobs. And
I hear you, and it didn't come out in our CLNA process. So largely the work group looked at some of the findings and the reports back as far as what did students say they wanted, what did businesses say they wanted as far as those surveys for CLNA, what's the community seeing? And that didn't show up there, so we took that off. We went with the recommendations of that CLNA piece, but that I just worry
because, you constantly hear that, they need to be learning jobs that don't exist yet, and that we have to be thinking about that. So to say, we don't want these jobs, but we don't even know what those jobs are yet.
It's
makes me
true.
nervous.
And so one of the goals that our architect team has always worked on is making sure that spaces are flexible and that we're able to transition them into something else. So we went back to way back when we had talked about the U32 campus as a potential. So we equalized that to the new Baptist Street build, and we put that on the table as one of the options to cost out. And then we explored some multi-campus. And so basically the programming here is what we would include, whether it's a single campus or a multi-campus option. So on one side, there's exploratory programming, transportation, automotive and diesel, and construction trades, which is building, electrical, plumbing and heating, and welding. And then on the other campus, if it's a separate campus, the health and human services with EMS, MedPro, early childhood and animal science, and the art, business, and hospitality with cosmetology, baking, culinary arts, business, graphic design, and videography. So that includes some of the programming that we see in the CLNA, but there's potential that we could transition some of those. It's just kind of a starting point so that we could do a baseline of equal across campuses. So we talked about a multi-campus option with our existing footprint here and the Baptist Street because we already have an option on that property. That's why it was listed as one of those pieces. And you can see the map of Spalding is basically talking about the different types of renovation we would recommend there. And so this whole second floor would have been basically reused for exploratory programming. And then we would renovate the cosmetology space into additional construction trades potentially. It was assuming that we would have a short-term facilities build on 150 Air Street, which is not really a part of this conversation, but something that you should be aware of. Another site we looked at was Vine Street, and that there's currently an existing school building there. It used to be a private church school. I think the Seventh-day Adventists had a school there, Central Vermont Academy, something like that. It was originally donated by folks who wanted to build a tech center there. It's 6 acres. It doesn't have the land necessarily that we want to be able to build a center, but we talked about that because it was something that seemed viable and centrally located. And so those were 4 of the 6 that we sent out to costing as a facilities work group. And when they came back, one of the conversations that happened when we saw those costs was, what if the multi-campus, the second campus is at U32? And we shrink it down and we do this phased approach where we put a campus there, and then we have 2 schools, Spalding High School and U32, poised to be comprehensive high schools. So we have half of our campus here, half there. We definitely would need to think about students having the opportunity to choose which high school they attend potentially, based on the programming that's available and based on their opportunities to visit those. But that became quickly the idea that most folks in the work group really kind of clung on to.
Jody, can you back up and just what you just said? Can you say again in a way that
so
I can understand?
one of the things
My brain is a little slow right now.
No problem. One of the things that we continually revisited was, where's the legislature at? And everything that has been talked about from Agency of Education and the legislature has been pointing to a comprehensive high school model, maybe a regional comprehensive high school. And so the work group talked about the fact that if we have part of our campus at U32 and part of it here, that's 2 high schools that have the opportunity to become comprehensive high schools. If Central Vermont instead goes to 1 regional comprehensive high school, we think it'll be U32 because it's on a hill. It's not in the floodplain, right? And then we could continue to build so that we have the full campus there in that case. And it seems like that would be supported by school construction funds, because it sounds like where you're building to consolidate is where they would support construction funding in the state for schools.
And then you said something about the students having to choose.
So I think one of the things that our sending schools will have to think about if we become comprehensive high schools is if we have the heavies of construction trades and automotive stuff here, and we have the health sciences and social sciences, you know, and the business and hospitality there, do students have to travel in the middle of the day, or can they be on one campus all day? That's what we need to talk about. So that's kind of what I was alluding to.
So if there's a kid from Barry who wants to go to culinary, they would just stay at the U32 campus the whole day rather than being shuffled back.
Right. In the past, we talked about, because we were looking at a standalone career center, of having full day so that we're meeting everyone's academic needs.
Yeah.
No matter what scenario you end up with, if we have common graduation standards across the state, which is being worked on right now, it gets a lot easier, right? But we don't necessarily have to hire additional instructors if we're on some shared campuses, if we can collaborate with our colleagues and just do the work of what's best for kids.
Awesome, thank you.
It really makes sense. It just makes so much sense.
I think that's where the work group came down to, is that this just makes sense. Go ahead.
I guess just based on what the students we heard from before, if you did a route like one of talked about going into exploratory, thinking they wanted to do one thing, so choosing that 1 year, then if in a following year they decided, well, no, I think I'd really like to try this other, it might mean switching high schools.
It might. I think also we need to think about how can we ensure that exploratory is at both campuses if we have a multi-campus model, and that they have the opportunity to flop so that they can visit at least. So what does that look like? There's a lot. The work group was not tasked with those, with finding those solutions. Their plan was, if we're going out to bond again, or if we have, how are we going to expand and what's going to be a fiscally responsible way? And so you have some of the cost estimates that have been updated. Yeah.
Looked like Carl was going
to. Question behind me.
Sorry. 2 questions. Are the sending schools on board with that? Have they been talked with? part of the discussions at least?
There have been some folks who are tangentially related to the sending schools that have been part of the conversation, or at least aware, but no, this is kind of our work. And then once this body decides what they're going to direct me to do with it, then I need to start doing some more outreach.
And then second question, if that model goes into place where you're connected to here and U32, are we still going to have the embedded academics in the programs as well?
The goal would be yes. And our work, I'm actually scheduled potentially to do some testimony with the state board tomorrow about that, making sure that CTE is recognized for the integrated academics and applied academics that are there, because otherwise we set up barriers to access, and we do not want to do that. And so that's happening in a multitude of ways. It should be recognized in there.
From my perspective as an instructor, it has been very beneficial having the embedded academics in the programs. It's helped them with not only with our curriculum, but it's actually improved, and I don't know if you're talking about this later, CLNA, or not CLNA, work keys testing. I was thinking the CLNA gets in that. Because just as a experiment, I mean, all my students tested in the fall, which all students tested in the fall. I had all my students test again in the spring, just to see if having the embedded academics made a difference, having them in there regularly, and all of the students' raw scores improved at the end of the year, from the fall to the spring.
That's awesome.
So, I mean, it was just a little internal experiment that I wanted to see if what we were doing was actually working, and it appears that it did, because the students' raw scores improved.
Right.
Which I think is a better gauge of looking at student improvement than just looking at the 4, 5, 6, because the student could have, been at the low end of a 4 and then maybe not got to a 5, but now at the, high end of a 4 and stuff, and that's still improvement, even if it didn't go from one of those to the next. So, yeah, it's very.
I think it's important to note that the facilities work group is like an alternative to the bond in the one building. When I'm thinking about planning for these, I definitely am thinking about the administration that we need to have across the nursing, and we've talked a little bit about that in the work group, but also, yes, integrated academics here and there, not relying on setting school for that piece, that the setting school is what other graduation requirements that we don't need, that students need, driver ed, PE, some of those financial literacy, sometimes we do need it in some programming, but we don't at all right now. So those are the things. Other questions?
So you mentioned administration, so would there be a director for each building and then superintendent? And then like IT, special ed?
So there would be just one superintendent.
Yeah.
And just one director, but an assistant director at each. Once we cross the 300 students, we need another assistant director anyways. It's an assistant director for 150 plus. So once we cross that, we will get to that. Does that answer that question?
Yeah.
Okay. So just
IT and
IT, we would need support. We would need to change the model from what we have now. So there are lots of staffing changes. I anticipate that our next budget, we're going to start building towards that. And so when we start talking in the fall about budget, you're going to see some increases. So when we go over that 300 student threshold, we're going to need a second counselor. We're going to need a second special ed services person. We're going to need an assistant director. There are other things that we're going to need. So that was not within the scope of the work for the facilities work group. But those are things that I'm thinking as I plan that out.
one more, the nurse, it's a separate building?
Yes, yep. We will need a nurse.
Thank you.
Although we did put EMS there for a reason.
It might require a waiver of the state board.
Yes, I understand.
How does this affect our timeline with the legislature? Because we don't want to jump the gun again, which I felt was one of the criticisms of the bond vote was that people said, well, we don't know what the state's doing. Why are we making decisions before that happens? So if the legislature's got a plan for 27 or 28 or 29, I know, don't give me the look.
Did you do the same one?
Can we kind of parallel that, or do we still do our own thing and
So
hopefully call it right?
The House bill, 955, appears to be moving forward largely unchanged. So it does look like we will have CISAs, which is like not a BOCES, but similar. And there will be study groups in each of the 5, or that might shift a little bit in the borders, but each of the superintendent group regions to talk about potential consolidation. What hasn't changed is the S313 still has like moving towards making sure that CTE is recognized in the graduation requirements and also moving towards setting up for those comprehensive high schools. I don't think we're gonna see a shift from that. And I don't know what funding, I don't know where we're gonna be with a foundation formula or not, or any of that piece of it. What I do know is that legislators who have been working on this, that I reached out to find out what their thoughts were largely supportive of this sounds like the right move to poise us for whatever decision is made.
So even if gridlock happened and they didn't do anything, if we did a multi-campus here in U32, the status quo of the way we run education now would be fine in that situation as well. Okay.
Yes, there is obviously going to be an impact on taxes. And so if there is not a way of solving the tax issue, then that could be something that we run into as we're talking with folks about that. And maybe that's where Sue will have an opportunity to weigh in. So I just wanted to really quickly share this. This is kind of the really rough numbers. And the reason that the committee landed with option 3C2, which is the U32 multi-campus model, is that $73,500,000 number, which is slightly more than Vine Street, but Vine Street was not viable. It was not gonna meet the zoning that we were required for that piece, and probably not be able to fit. We anticipated being residential area, that there would be pushback, and there were a number of other concerns with that property. So it basically got taken off the table, and the U32 option was moved forward because of the cost and the alignment with the legislative priorities. So that is the recommendation of the work group, to pursue an opportunity to begin building a satellite campus at U32. We may need to consider expanding that. We took the renovations off, so that's also why it's cheaper. There's no renovations in that bond vote. We would renovate this space after that new campus was built, room by room, as in our regular budget, if we decided to do so, or we would pursue an opportunity to build additionally at U32 if we move there as a regional comprehensive high school. So it gives us some flexibility in the future. And I just shout out to all these people who met almost weekly over the December to April timeframe.
Nice.
And I see we have some special guests here.
More special.
More special guests. So we'll pause and let you guys take the stage, and then we'll go back to this discussion.
Good evening, everybody. A few of you know me. I'm David Danforth. I'm the EMS director for the town of Erie, and I'm the secretary for my EMS District 6.
Derek Libby, I'm the fire chief for the city of Montpelier.
And board member for District 6. So thank you. Probably half of you in the room are wondering why we're here. I think Jody's probably the only one who knows. Maybe Carl's getting an idea at the moment, but. So District 6 has been around for a long time. And many years ago, we had a couple out in Cabot, Dr. Catherine and Virginia Catherine's wife, and they were instrumental in the district as we know. So they supported the education, the Cabot ambulance service, and all these, people, a lot of the people that are in the district today learned because Virginia made it her mission to educate people in EMT, advanced EMT, there were no paramedics at the time. So upon Virginia's passing, the district board decided that we should do something in her honor. So every year from then on, we awarded a Virginia Captain Award to a member of District 6 that is instrumental in education, and works really hard to provide education to students and to make sure that the district remains able to provide an adequate service throughout Washington and Orange County. So this year's award, we are awarding to Carl Madison for his work here at the Career Center. So Carl has been very instrumental in educating EMTs, AEMTs, and paramedics, as you know. Has worked collaboratively as the district training coordinator with all the services, with Jody in the school, to bring the majority of our education from the district into the school with the support of all of you. There's a large class that's just finishing up in Norwich. Carl has the EMT class, the paramedic program. Hopefully we're going to expand some of that next year, but there's plans for more classes to come. So we felt, the board felt that it was a good honor for Carl to, because of all of his work, the work he does, the meetings at night, the classes during the day, and all the coordination that goes into education today. I sit on a lot of state committees, so I see all the education work that Carl and a very small portion of senior instructors do. So for those of you who don't know, Carl is a senior instructor coordinator in the state of Vermont EMS education system. And over 70% of the students that are educated in Vermont every year are done by educational institutions, and there's a very small number of them. How many senior ICs are there, Carl? Because I don't know. There's 6, 7?
6, 8.
Yeah. So they are doing about 70% of the education statewide. So Carl is one of them. So we've got a plaque to give Carl. And then there will be a little nameplate that goes on a bigger plaque up at the hospital. So this just says Vermont EMS District 6 Virginia Captain Award 2025, presented to Carl Matson, District 6 Training Coordinator at Central Vermont Career Center. You get the middle. So we have a bigger award I'm hanging in the emergency department at CVH that gets a little nameplate of the year for each recipient.
Nice.
So thank you, Carl, for all your work. Thank you all for supporting Carl and the programs here. It's very instrumental in the work that we do every day.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Yes, absolutely.
And just to kind of add, the model that in its time wasn't just me, it was a big lift by a lot the EMS district folks and then Jody and the people here. But the Department of Health is looking at us. They partnered with us as well, and that's where we're getting a lot of the education funding from. But they're looking at, what we set up as a model to try to replicate across the state too. So, yeah, it's been a big lift and a big deal. Was not expecting this, so thank you.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thanks for keeping it a secret. It's not easy with public meetings.
I know, I got him here and then he got here earlier than I expected. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And 2 of his students are here and they also helped fill in. So thank you both.
I saw you email it. All right, thank you all so much. Thank you. Thanks. Have a good night.
Congratulations. You really didn't know.
No.
You didn't know when we said you have to stay? He got scared. You don't have to stay anymore if you don't want to. You're welcome. Same for both of you. Thank you. You're welcome to stay, but you don't have to stay.
Well,
Congratulations, Carl.
Thank you.
I really appreciate all the work you do for us.
Oh, you're gonna make me cry again.
So, we appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having us.
Good luck to both of you.
Thank you. Thank you for that pause in the programming. Sue, did I miss anything in the facilities presentation?
I don't think so. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. I think you did a very good job, Jody, as usual. Yeah, we worked hard at this, and I personally think it's a good presentation, a good proposal, and I think the main thing that we're all thinking about is to try to get students in as soon as possible. And this seemed to be the best proposal that we could come up with in order to do that. So, no, you did a good job, Jody.
Thanks, Sue. And Sue was not a supporter of our $149 million project. And she shared that online and she gave us feedback, and she was willing to come in and be a part of this work group along with a few others who also didn't support and were able to work through this and come up with this proposal. And so I think that is really powerful.
And I am very much in support of this one. I really am. And I would go out and wholeheartedly support it.
Thank you.
Any final questions for Jody on this topic? It's been recommended from the Facilities Committee to approve this proposal, this direction, and then Jody will, if we approve it, she'll have license to go further, talk with people at U32. We've already got some preliminary meetings, planted the seed. So there is definitely urgency to this if we want to go forward.
Urgency because the recommendation is in November on vote.
Exactly. Jason?
I just wanted to, I don't know, we were talking about the kids being able to pick either school if this situation goes, and that would probably be something that would be great for here in Cabot. I think we're going to have like 25 kids in our entire high school next year, 9 through 12. So,
We're taking 7 of them.
yeah,
Sorry.
maybe 10. Okay. It's all good. But I don't know. Some people are against like choice idea, like the kids being able to choose to go to school. But this is just another example of like if the kid was going to U32 or going to Spalding and they wanted to go to the Career Center and then they did exploratory and then they wanted to switch the next year and do something else and go to an entirely different school and campus. This is just a good example of how that would work out for kids being able to pick where they want to go.
Yeah, you never know when you start when people start to collaborate, what sort of flexibility and options might become available at that point. It's really hard when we're all siloed and we're not having those conversations.
Transportation costs, do you see that increasing? I just, like, there would be multiple stops, so like it'd be like an earlier stop at one school and then a later stop and then kind of the same way for pickup. Would that be an additional cost or would it just be the same costs? Because we really don't know how it's going to work
So
out.
with some students not having to come as far and maybe they're staying at U32 instead of transporting, it could shift it. It could change. I know some of our sending schools are already collaborating. It will cost vary. We have to be honest. It will cost vary because Barry has not had to transport anyone, right? So it will definitely show up for the Barry Unified Union School District. It may have an impact on our other sending schools. It may not, and we also don't know what's going to transition with transportation. When I think about some consolidation of schools, I presume that we do not continue to be a district, that we are merged into whatever system ends up being. So if we are 2 separate pieces, that's going to be kind of hard to navigate but it becomes the Barry District and the Washington Central District, if that's the way it is, if they're 2 separate career center, like comprehensive high schools. And at that point, there could be a shared director still, but we're not a district, there's 2 separate, does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So I don't have the crystal ball that tells us what that's gonna be like. I just know that we have a need to meet in our communities for students, and we have an opportunity to set up 2 high schools to either be that comprehensive high school or to set up a regional comprehensive high school, and it makes sense to do that. But there are gonna be some of the questions in the weeds that we haven't explored as part of this work.
So I'm kind of leading up to that. Is there kind of a 10% overage of like, is it kind of built in what it's going to cost some sending schools, or, because there's going to be possibly additional costs? So
we haven't looked at those. The only costs that we're thinking about as part of this work group in this presentation is the cost of the new build. That's it. Mm-hmm. It's not all of the other things that we would be incurring in our budget or the sending schools budget.
Someone else's, but
right.
I understand that that's just the building cost, but once you start getting into those are going to be things that people are like, well, we only saw this number and now it's more. So
we did actually have both of those numbers going out before. We had, here's the building, the bond cost, and then here's the added cost for all of those program instructors and all those things when we did that first round. People might not have dug into that as much because it wasn't as widely published as here's your taxes for that bond vote, right? So we will need to rethink how we share that information, but we do have it. It's just on a spreadsheet on a different tab.
Jody, might there be some variable in the governance structures between one site and another? We don't know.
I would hope not.
I don't know.
Right, we're trying to eliminate that.
I can't predict that.
Sue, go ahead.
I just wanted to say one thing that we need to take into consideration. You know, there's questions being asked about additional costs, but there is also going to be additional revenue. I mean, if we can add 150 to 200 students, and that's going to be additional revenue with the tuition. So I just wanted to throw that in also.
Thank you.
Guy?
Yeah, I can't believe I've forgotten this, but you know, we've all heard that history has a tendency to repeat itself. It really wasn't all that long ago when there was a collaboration between U32 and the Career Center. It wasn't called the Career Center at that point, but the U32 staff established a human services program, and there may have been another program there as well. We're talking a few years ago, but we're coming full circle, I guess, maybe.
It is, yeah. There used to be a human services program there, and then Harwood and U32 both had exploratory programs at those locations at one point before they were pulled back here.
All right, well, I think we need to move on the agenda. We'll pick this back up during an action item and discuss it then. But maybe we should move to the program quality, the Perkins plan.
Did everyone have a chance to look at the Perkins plan? That was in the packet. It's basically the results of the comprehensive local needs assessment, the recommendations of that committee. It relates to the presentation that you had from our consultants last meeting with the priority areas action plan. And I'm passing out a paper because over the weekend, the consultants actually updated one of the documents. And so that was not reflected in what I shared with you.
Was that what you emailed?
No. So what I emailed is the plan that was in the packet. And then when you look at this page, it's the highlighted pieces. So page 4, there's addition of year 1 and year 2 components. Year 1 program instructor and academic integration instructors will co-develop and implement proficiency-based lessons projects for each program by unit where math, literacy, and science standards naturally sit in the curriculum, and begin creating an academic integration map for each program. And then year 2, establish a quarterly data routine in which each program lead and academic instructor pair reviews formative assessment results disaggregated by special population and identifies one bright spot and one growth area. Sounds like that's kind of what you were doing when you piloted this work keys, Carl, with them. So we already have a model in place. Page 6, under strategy 2, strengthen the coordination with sending schools. Year 1, establish new strategies for more regular collaboration and information sharing with sending school administrators, case managers, and counselors, including fixed items. And it lists what those are: the application and waitlist data, calendar alignment, review of any students who applied and didn't enroll with the reason for that, and joint problem solving, one problem each quarter. And then on page 7, on the strategy to consider the sunset baking and consider a sunset or reorientation of culinary. When thinking about the programming, we do have a 3-year process in which we would determine whether a program is closing. The consultants added in a create a short rubric used to evaluate any under-enrolled program against 4 criteria: the 2-year application and enrollment trend, regional labor market demand, post-secondary articulation strength, and student outcomes. And if any program gets rated with 2 or more red ratings in those areas, then they would go into that 3-year process. So they've suggested adding that. So we may find that we know that Baking Arts is going to go into that based on the FY26, the current year accountability data that we'll get from the state. But this gives us another way to start looking at programs to see if there is a need for that. Or it might say, we got that accountability data from the state. We actually did a rubric and we don't have 2 red marks, and it's because the FY27 enrollment is already showing growth, right? So it gives us the opportunity to look at a program in a couple of different ways. So what the program quality committee is recommending to you is that you accept the Perkins plan as drafted with these edits. So I'm gonna have to go back into the system and put those in. And I wanna let you know that despite all of this, all that our Perkins funding will pay for is 2 integrated academics, 50% of their salary and benefits each, and 1 early childhood education instructor with their salary and benefits, and that's it. We will not be able to continue our work on climate with a consultant through Perkins. We may be able to do so separately. And there is no other, like, we're not buying any equipment there. There's no other salaries or stipends that are coming out of Perkins. Those are the only things that Perkins can afford. It was level funded by the federal government. So we get about $235,000, and this is gonna be tight. We might actually have, we had in there originally planned for a quarter, 25% of the second electrical teacher to continue in there. We cannot pay for that way. That's going into our local budget. So all of this stuff doesn't mean that we're paying for all of it with Perkins.
And there may be other grants.
Maybe. We say that about everything. There could be grants for facilities projects too. We'll see.
Are there any questions from board members?
I make a motion though.
I think we have to wait until board discussion and action items to approve.
We've done it both ways, and we can follow that.
Okay, hearing none, superintendent's report.
It doesn't want to open up my computer, so let me find the paper version.
Okay.
Last week was Teacher Appreciation Week. I am so grateful for the wonderful staff we have here at the Central Vermont Career Center. They are all amazing. It's been a privilege to work with all of them for several years, many of them, and some of them first year. And we also got to have a little fun last week and did a staff spirit week at the same time. So that was a whole lot of fun. And you really missed out if you were not an 8th grader touring last Thursday when we had our Stash Bash Day, because everyone, including me, had some interesting mustaches or some. So yeah, I surprised a few people on some Zoom meetings as well. It's been really exciting to watch the cross-program collaborations continue. Medical Professions is working with both electrical technology and plumbing and heating, and so you can see some of that. Our automotive and cosmetology programs collaborated, and students, it was fun to see I saw some videos of the cosmetology students competing with each other to change a tire. Many of them went in thinking, I'm not gonna be interested in this, and then they really jumped right in.
Great.
The links to that report is the Educator and Staff of the Year form, so you can certainly go in and vote for that as well. We collect, even if you can vote for somebody, but even if you make comments for other people, we take all of that data in. So someone could go in and vote, and then they could go in and say they vote for Carl, and then they say Geneve is great at this. We take all of those votes as votes. And so there's an opportunity to get multiple shout outs, and it gives us a lot of information. Students and families give us some feedback, and staff members, and then at the end of the year, we're able to print out all the comments, positive comments about staff, and kind of give them that document so that they walk away at the end of the year with lots of positive comments, which is great. And let's see, Jeremy Vaughn, our digital media arts graphic design instructor, was an honoree in a main poster show, which was really exciting, and he got to go last week and be a part of that. And if you didn't read it yet, there's an article that's linked there about the exploratory program and the community service they were doing at the Berry cow pasture and removing invasives. They got to work with Greenmont Tech this year, and so the exploratory students from that program came down, and our students taught them about invasives and taught them how to remove them, and they worked together to do that this year, which was really exciting. So it's not only cross-program, but now cross-center collaborations happening. And we are gearing up for our trades fair, May 28th, so hopefully we'll see you that night.
Thank you, Jody. How about equity policy report? Guy?
Jody, what was the accolades the tech center received in was it a competition or?
This was the third year in a row that we were nominated for the Canopy Project, and actually the Agency of Education nominated us for innovative, I can't remember what the word is, but innovation in career and technical education. And it's largely because we are one of the few centers that has the integrated academics, and that all 6 of our sending schools recognize the credits that we've all agreed together that students earn in our programs. And so that's part of the reason we get that, but we keep getting nominated again, and so there must be new reasons, and it's, I'm like, third time, we're just gonna take this press release and go with it, because that's amazing. So sometimes it feels like we're getting scrutinized, but we're also getting recognized by the agency, which is great.
It's good to be on their radar screen. Thanks for bringing that up, Guy. I'd forgotten about that.
So the equity team meets monthly, and we sometimes look at some of our publications to see, are they meeting the equity policy goals? We reviewed some of the CLNA data and determined what information we wanted the staff to give a little more feedback on, and brought some of that student survey data to a staff meeting and looked at it with some questions through an equity lens. And I think most recently we talked about how the values that the staff has been working on through our climate work this year really align, and our common definitions really align with what the equity team has been working on. And so it's nice to see things really coming together in our school.
Do you have an example of that?
The
values and alignment?
Yeah, so the values are professionalism, responsibility, respect, and integrity. And when we were wordsmithing them, I might even have that with me. No. We, as a whole staff, went through what is the definition for each one of those values, to make sure that it was something that we could all live with. And that we would then define it in the same way. And we had lots of different voices that were being heard, but then we also found a way to get at how do we incorporate those and make sure they're there. So they came across in the way that we got to those definitions, but also in the wording in the definitions, which I'm gonna have to share with you at a different point, because I do not have those memorized yet. If I could just finalize but then it's also thinking about what does that look like when we model it for students, and how do we intentionally teach it, and how does it get brought across all of our literature. And we're sort of seeing that more. This year was the first year that Carrie worked really hard, our special services coordinator, to make sure that our prerequisites for every program were documented and distributed to all of our sending schools, so that when teams, because the process for admissions is blind, but an IEP team has to have a meeting that says that this is an appropriate placement for a student before the student applies. That's by law. And Carrie can go to that meeting and just talk about, in general, here are the expectations, or if a student's interested in this program, here's what they need to be able to do to be a successful applicant. she's not learning about the student, she's not involved in the admissions process, but we're finding a lot of schools might skip that part or might not really fully understand. The case managers who are here weekly really understand. And so they can bring that back, but those that aren't don't get that same level. And so she basically went on a road trip with our counseling coordinator to every sitting school, and they met with case managers and counselors, and they shared out that information. I think that was like a really good step. And then program quality just looked at a placemat that has the exact same stuff that we're publishing and we're putting out to our sending schools this year, so that every case manager, every counselor, every administrator has that they can have on their desk or table in their space, and they can quickly reference it when there's discussion with a family about, oh, my student really wants to get into this. Great, here's what they have to do. They need to make sure they take this course and that they understand this piece, or the reading needs a little more work. Maybe this is where we can give them some of those support strategies, or they can get that extra course in there that will help them so that they're ready for that level of reading. So we're kind of seeing it in some of our publications differently than we have in the past.
Excellent, thank you.
What I really like, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
it's just that it's protecting the civil rights of all of our students.
Yes.
And that's just, yeah, thank you.
And does that align with your goals, superintendent goal update?
So basically on that, if you looked at that, I had those goals, they were the same goals for 2 years. So I had the opportunity to just reflect on those. I feel like we've largely met a lot of those goals. I'm 85% of the way through the doctoral program. We have probably the 75% of the, it's the manual, procedures manual is done. What else is on there? The climate, we're moving, we're unstuck and we're moving forward, and I think some very positive gains. It feels really good. It feels like we're going in the right direction. We have one more climate committee meeting with our consultant, and then we have a staff retreat half day on June 18th. And that'll set us up for the start of the next year, which I think is great. We have to decide if we need to continue with the consultant or if we have the opportunity to collaborate and share this. I think Carl has been sharing that across the state. This has been a model for climate, because a lot of climate stuff is reactive, and we're being really proactive about this.
I go to our regional bargaining committee meetings with the Vermont NEA, which happens monthly, and then we kind of share from each school around the region, things that are going on. And I talked about the work that we've been doing. One of the things I talked about is the work that we've been doing in the climate committee, and the other school districts around us were very impressed that we are actually being very proactive. And it was, we were able to work together with, staff and administration collaboratively to move in one direction as a group, instead of, like Jody said, a lot of climate committees come out of being reactionary and stuff, and we recognized as a center that we had some things that we needed to work on, and we, proactively wanted to get ahead of that and stuff before things got to the point where we had to be reactionary. So it's been a great process. The committee itself has been great to work with and stuff, but just the other schools around the region, they're like that's such a great model. And there's a few other schools that have reactionary climate committees going on right now for different things and stuff. So it's even though we have a climate committee and things are a little kind of
They're not perfect yet.
yeah, that's where I worded. We are in a much better place as a school and a staff than a lot of other places across the region and across the state. So we are actually, in a very good place.
And better than we were a year ago.
Yeah, exactly. And we keep moving forward, which is, I think, a great positive thing.
Yeah,
And we can see the impact on the students. That's the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
Great.
And then part of my goals was around the strategic plan. We have some of that in the CLNA and the Perkins stuff that you see. We'll have more of it as it results once we have a decision on this facilities piece, where we're going from there. Which, when I was talking about the facilities, they reminded me that we did have public correspondence, Todd, from Joanne Canning about
Yeah, that's right.
Berry facilities. Will be meeting on May 18th, and then from there we'll potentially figure out a way to collaborate between the two committees to discuss spaces here in the future. And I think that's.
Are you saying, Judy, that there may be more space even though we were told there was no more space?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that we wanted to make sure that we're collaborating to discuss how spaces are used that most benefit kids for both districts. And it would be an opportunity for us to learn, is there a space or not? And there might not be.
Okay.
And the other goal was around equity, which we just talked about.
I have a question that has to do with overall facilities, I guess, and what we're facing in the Harwood district is looking at what buildings need for maintenance, for improvements. So when you mentioned renovation and then dropping some of that, then something just sparked, and I was wondering, where are these buildings in terms, I don't know if you had the architects look at this building, for instance, in terms of alterations or maintenance that needs to happen, HVAC or other things that we're facing in our district that we haven't been able to keep up with.
We're kind of in a unique position, right, that we have a facilities use agreement with Berry. They take care of the building. The lighting is all new, and the HVAC system has been recently updated. So they've done a lot to keep this building up to date. If there is something that's specific for the type of program that we want to have in a space, we are the ones that pay to renovate. But
like
for
the welding.
overall, like the welding space. But for the overall facility, the building, that is a very unified union school district responsibility, and we pay a facilities use fee. So we're just renters.
But we put a lot into the ventilation, where there's dust, and for the welding studio to even exist. So.
Yes, yeah.
Just something occurred to me.
Yeah, so the renovations that we were talking about here on the second floor would be our responsibility because they're specific to the programs that we would want to take over this space.
Good question. Thank you. Business managers report.
I shared earlier, but we will hopefully be doing the final interview for the lab assistant that will support the early ed program later on this week. The instructor that we hired for the early childhood ed program is going to sit in on that meeting with us. It will be Jody, myself, and the final candidate is a lab assistant position. The medical professions instructor, that position is still open. Carl's on that hiring committee. I know they have an interview set up this week. And then we'll see from there.
Yeah, there's two candidates and we're interviewing both of them.
Perfect.
Okay,
So-
good. Two good, solid candidates.
Two candidates.
Okay.
So they'll be moved forward after the committee meets. We'll see if anybody has moved forward, and then we might try to snag somebody and see if they want to join with Jody and I for the final interview before it comes to the board for approval.
We will probably need an extra meeting for those approvals, but we'll see.
Current financial update, last week we had RHR Smith on site for the whole week. It was actually really great because I was talking to them, you have this very long 2 or 3 hour interview with them, and they kind of grill you on everything, and it's really hard to explain to them why I needed to purchase like a beater vehicle, or why we're buying these simulation mannequins that have real blood, or babies that cry, or like some of the things they just didn't quite understand, or an example was in inventory, we have nuts, bolts, and the quantity is listed as lots. And so, it's not exactly the best thing, but so we jumped on an 8th grade tour, and the auditors went around, we went to visit every single classroom and program space, and we were in plumbing and heating, and I was like, so how many nuts and bolts do you think that is? And he turned to look right at me, he's like, lots. I was like, I'm pretty particular on certain things, but that we can't. So it was just really great for them to see, why do we have these vehicles, 10 vehicles, and none of them run type of thing. And it was no value. There was no value. It's fully depreciated. They're like, why would you buy a fully depreciated vehicle? Well,
You can't lose money.
it was fun. It was a lot of fun, but a board member did ask, we are a little bit behind. We tend to be behind mostly because we do not require a single audit. Single audit is just another piece to your traditional audit. We don't receive enough federal funds. Yeah, we don't receive enough federal funds to meet that threshold, therefore the timeline is pushed back for us, where other schools have to submit by December 1st, and then they need board approval and so on. We don't meet that, so we are very small, and we tend to always be put last on the list. They'll fit us in when they can fit us in, which, it's unfortunate, but I'm hoping, since they were here, I was able to give them a sneak peek at our FY26 books and say, hey, can you just start doing this one here? I'll see you in 6 weeks kind of thing. Next year, this year we became the fiscal agent for VACTED. Next year, we will have enough federal funding that we will meet that requirement. And so for future years, we will be on the same schedule as any other school district. We do have a little bit of a pre-audit. Ours is very different than a traditional school district because we have to true up in August and September. We can only, what we say we're going to charge for tuition, we can only spend that much. We have to stay within 3% plus or minus. We have to pay it back, or we have to ask for them to pay us. So we have this kind of check and balance at the beginning of the fall for the previous year anyway, that really says, how much did you bring in, how much did you spend, and it needs to be within 3%. So it's really hard for us to have, these large, we can spend over and we can't underspend. That's why I'm not as concerned. You'll see our expense report is there. We're getting we're where we're supposed to be. Again, we can't overspend or underspend our budgets like a typical school. But we're getting pretty close. Our balance is less than $300,000. That's right where we should be. What I told the board last month or the month before was our plan is to spend the majority, if anything is left on technology. There's a huge wait time. We did order 40 more Chromebooks and last week, and those are not going to be here until July. We also need some technology for our new programs, and so we're talking 6-8 weeks of the minimum of a back order. So as soon as I can get those orders in, that'll be great.
So the money's spent.
It's spent. I will spend it. Yeah. Whatever it is, it's gonna be spent. Don't let Carl know, he will also spend all my money. Oh, there's this grant. For us to talk about in the future, as soon as this audit wraps up, 2 years ago, I think it was FY 24, the board authorized, the board wanted to use the fund balance to pay for our welding program.
Yep.
Last year, FY 25, at the annual meeting, we agreed we were authorized to put any number of our remaining fund balance into a capital facilities improvement. I was talking to our auditing team. They recommend that we keep at least 2 to 3 months or 16 to 17% of our total operating budget in a fund that is not meant to be spent. It's an uncommitted fund balance. So we shouldn't put that in saying we're going to spend it on X, Y, Z, because if we ever need to spend it on something else, it's not really good for us. We're just barely at that 16-17%. So in the next probably fall, I don't know if we'll get to it in June. We don't have an April meeting, so maybe August. We'll have to start talking some real numbers on if, because we were given authorization, if the board wants to put a specific number into the capital facility improvement fund, or if we just want to, if we leave it uncommitted, we can still spend it on those things. But if we put it in there, that's the only thing we can spend it on. So.
Why would we want to commit to that? I move that we don't commit.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, there might be a reason. I mean, there is, once we get over, if we were to ever carry over too much of a fund balance, we don't, because we find out later on this meeting, we're gonna be spending a lot of money on spaces to get them ready for next year.
Yeah.
But it was kind of just a heads up, we're gonna have this conversation, start thinking about those. I think that we are, yeah, the rest that we have to talk about financially will come at the action item.
Okay, great. Thank you, Michelle. Okay, board discussion and action items, number 5. Oh, Jana, that's the Perkins plan.
Well, I move.
Second.
Okay.
There we go.
Done.
Action.
The action would be that I move that the board accept our Perkins plan so that Jody can complete, cross her T's and dot her I's and send it off.
With the updates.
With the updates,
Yes.
excuse me, yes. I've only said that 10 times. With the updates.
I second it with the updates.
Any discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Jim. Overnight field trip, Skills USA. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
We have, anytime you have a gold winner, they get to go to the nationals competition, which is in Atlanta for several more years now. This year, it is still within the school year. Normally, it's after we are out, but it'll be the first full week in June. We have students in cosmetology and students in videography that are attending with their teachers. And so because it's an overnight field trip, it has to be approved by the board, and that was in your packet.
Yeah. I couldn't figure out if they're flying or taking a bus.
They're flying.
Okay.
And we got the refundable, transferable tickets this year, because we've been burned on that one in the past.
I move that we approve the field trip.
Second.
All those in favor of approving the field trip to Atlanta, Georgia?
Aye.
Any opposed? Action is approved. Soon the teachers get training for that.
These two
Chaperone.
teachers have been several times, so
Okay, good.
they're very experienced.
Okay. Having led many college trips, I can't imagine leading a high school trip.
Yeah.
There's only 4 students going,
Okay, for
so that also helps.
I did it once a week, I had to send 2 buses.
Okay, RFP for the dust collection system.
We'll hold on that until
Okay,
after the executive session.
Good. How about the MOU and contract language alignment?
So 2 MOUs on the discussion action items today. One, when the negotiation happened, there was a section of the contract, the CBA for teachers that said they'll be paid out $50 a day for if they leave us. And I think one was leaving and one was under retirement. And one of them said $50 a day and one said $35 a day for the days that they'd accrued. So this is just to align it, so, and everything would be at that $50 a day rate, so that we don't have any confusion there. The other one is basically saying the teacher contract is due within 15 days of its being sent out to teachers. That ended on a Saturday this year, so we want to say if it ever is on a weekend, that it falls to the next Monday to make sure that they have time to get those contracts in. So those are the two MOUs in front of you.
So, can we vote singly or I move to approve both MOUs?
Perfect.
I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, the motion passes. Thank you. Now we get to the facilities work group recommendation. Do I hear a motion to approve of that recommendation?
I make a motion to approve that recommendation so that we can start.
Second.
Any discussion on that, further discussion on the facilities recommendation?
So that was, go ahead with option 2BC or whatever it was.
Yeah.
CPO.
CVCC, yes.
Just, I think it's worth just restating, that is what, the
Co-location.
I think
co-location, have a conversation with U32.
3C2.
3C2.
Thank you.
3C2.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the facilities work group recommendation and moving that forward?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that action passes. Now we're under policy updates, cell phone policy.
New policy that becomes law next year, and we need to put into effect. The Agency of Education developed this model policy. So hopefully you're seeing it at your sending schools. I decided it was probably about time we got it in here. So this is the first reading for the cell phone policy. Currently, our rule is that students do not have phones in programs, so they are not to be seen or heard. Many of our instructors do collect them. So you may walk into a program and see like the shoe things on the wall that they students put their phones in. Some have plastic cases that actually they close and put away like in an office or on their desk. And some folks are still allowed to maintain them on their person, just they cannot be seen or heard during program. We are likely going to have to align the procedures a little more than what we currently have, but this is our first stab at just making sure we have the policy in place.
So iWatches,
Move we accept the
Apple
first reading.
Watches.
Thank you, Guy. Yes, it includes,
Yeah,
so
I see that.
students have to take them off in a lot of programs if they have them, take out their iPads, iPods. Guy moved it. So Guy moved to approve this for first reading.
Okay.
Andrew seconds.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Good, we're gonna get a second reading on that, you're gonna go through it?
Yes, yeah. You can get your fine tooth comb out for that one.
Yes. Now we have to go to the signing approval, which we discussed earlier and added to the agenda. Can you explain that again, Michelle?
Yeah, so at our board meeting on March 24th, it was reflected in the notes that the board authorizes all other contracts to be signed by board chair Todd Coleman. It's explicitly stated, listed out all the other types of like employment contracts that
we both sign.
Yep. I'll read it to you directly. The district spokesperson will be the superintendent and the board chair. The board authorizes superintendent and board chair to sign employee contracts. The board authorizes other contracts to be signed by board chair. The board designates superintendent Jody Emerson to sign the warrants, and I, Michelle, is the backup or the alternate. So by reading this, it explicitly designates all these other contracts and says that all other contracts have to go to the board chair, Todd Coleman. That means anytime we would like to fill out an application, anything like just isn't 40-ish.
The motion is and.
And, yeah, and/or, because, there is there's,
So
Just or,
we
not
have to
and or.
put Todd in this sign for me. I'm gonna ask this question because it just popped in my head, like Perkins, I can't apply to it.
it would have to, unless, yeah. Okay, have to say and/or. Everything over $15,000 by our policy comes to the board anyway. $15,000 comes to the board. 40,000, then we start triggering some other things. So it's contracts under $15,000. Those are the ones that Jody would be authorized to sign.
And we have to say and/or, we can't say or?
Or, and you could do either. I
Should
like
it
the
just
words.
be written into the,
Should just be.
well, we go into the reorganization form and we follow that form. Should it just be written in there so that future boards don't run into that problem?
I love that.
Yes. we should just
You
change that.
shouldn't even say that.
So do you have to make a motion?
Shouldn't say. Well, so I can change the reorganization form without a motion. I can do that and that can be moved forward. I can't have Jody sign anything, any contract without the motion of the board saying that it's, that we've amended, either amended the minutes or had this new something new. And yeah, this is like on grants, like filling out Perkins application, like anything like that, like.
You just need somebody to say, we need a motion to allow, or for the language to say that either the chair or the superintendent have the ability to sign all contracts under 15,000.
All contracts.
All contracts.
Just all contracts.
All contracts, period.
It's all, yeah.
Seconded.
There you go.
That's it, that's all I needed.
Beautiful.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I think we're good.
Thanks, guys.
Motion carries.
It's just a nuance that they picked out.
No, it's good because it's a pain.
Can't read it.
Yep.
Is it okay to write that as the board chair or as the superintendent? Did you say and or? Or superintendent, we don't have to name the people,
Yes, somebody.
just in
Are
case.
you going on to the next item?
Yep, we're going to do a motion to adjourn and then go into executive session. I think that's how the.
So,
Yeah.
No, we don't adjourn yet.
No, we come back, we come back and then we
So
adjourn.
we go into executive
So
session.
it's 7:53 and I move that we go into executive session.
Okay, good.
Are we inviting anyone in?
Can you read the
Yeah,
suggested
she
motion?
What was that, Jody?
If you look at the,
We want to enter into executive session with all board members and Jody Emerson and Michelle Lehman for the purpose of discussing contracts because premature public knowledge would clearly place the public body or person involved at substantial disadvantage.
Second.
So that's, yes. So it's been seconded.
To go into executive session.
So we're now going,
you gotta vote.
oh, I thought we just did.
A second.
Oh,
We'll get a vote here.
All right.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so now we're back. So what do we do?
Start with Michelle.
Yeah, so now we can go back up to 5.3. Which is.
RFP for dust collection system action?
Yep. So, we received only one bid. We are required to go out to bid because the cost of the project would likely be over $40,000. The one bid that we did receive, is not recommended at this time. I don't think that I know that it does not meet the requirements of what's needed at this point. So my recommendation to the board would be to reject all bids at this point.
Do we need to move that? Or no?
Nope,
It's
just this.
a non.
We'll accept your recommendation.
Things. The only other recommendation coming out of this is that there is work that needs to be done in another classroom that will be above $15,000, so it needs board approval, but below the $40,000, which doesn't require us out to bid. So I would ask that the board authorize the superintendent and/or the board chair to enter a contract with another company that can help renovate the electrical classroom space downstairs.
So moved.
Not to exceed $40,000.
Yeah.
I have a
Not
question
just
though.
the
Do you have
40,000.
a company in mind, or do you not want to shop around?
We will shop around either way. We will shop around. The one company that we've had so far has worked in our programs, in our spaces, did the
They did the
renovation.
welding shop.
They did the
Oh,
welding
really?
shop. They
Okay.
did the electrical classroom many, many years ago. It was used to the space.
Still
So,
standing.
yeah, we'll have them come look at it first.
And that's to expand the shop space
About the
to
electrical.
accommodate the second.
Yep.
Second that.
I'll
Yep.
second.
Who moved it?
Any discussion?
Not Janet.
I'm still just concerned that you maybe go out to bid on it, or you make sure that you really like the contractor that you want to work with.
We could, and maybe we should. What we run into is we have a very short time period to get any of this done.
Okay.
So we have from the time students leave until the time the students get back to totally
Right.
renovate a classroom space.
Not that much time.
And we are, it's
Yeah.
running out of
Yeah.
time, especially since in this particular classroom space, it affects both the shop spaces, not just a single, or like one area of a shop space, talking about demolition of a wall in between, so it would mean that the shop space of the entire 2 programs would not be usable if we didn't finish it in time.
And do you have a design for this?
I actually have a contract ready, it's printed, I would like to, there's a design team, I can get his name, but
Names are irrelevant, it's just a matter as long as you have somebody competent to design the renovation.
We
Sounds
do.
like it's more than just moving some desks around.
it definitely is more than moving some desks around. Yep, but they came highly recommended, and again, it's a vendor that we've used in the past.
Okay, good. I'm just doing due diligence, especially if I have to sign the contract.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
Or
Jody,
Jody.
you no longer have to.
That's true.
Forget you.
Yeah.
Their name actually, so we worked with the EEI in the past, Energy Efficiency Investments, and this one particularly is an architect, Jeremiah Goulet. The cost for, he already had a site visit on May 6th. It's like a bunch of pages, but it's $4,500 for the schematic designs, design development, construction documents, construction admin, and making sure that we can get our permits, demolition plan, floor plan, code plan review, all of the things that were needed.
And your instructors are involved in this?
Oh yeah, they had a walkthrough with us.
Okay, good.
Yep, both of the instructors.
Okay.
Need to call the vote.
Hmm?
You need to call the vote.
Yep.
Thank you very much. All those in favor of this motion? I can't remember what it is.
A motion to have them.
To authorize the superintendent to
seek out.
To hire a contractor to bust the wall down.
Not to
Authorize-
exceed $40,000.
The authorization to sign a contract below $40,000 for the purpose of renovating the electrical classroom into an electrical shop.
Yes.
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Fantastic, there you have it. I know that extended our meeting, but you gotta ask those questions. Okay, future agenda items, are we on to that?
Yep.
We added retreat into that at the beginning of the meeting.
Yep.
I put it right next to the board development and goal setting. And I think I can take June off of that and put it in August?
Yeah,
Or
good.
would this group like a June retreat?
No, well, there were too many people that couldn't come in June.
Right.
Only 2 of us might not be.
I know, but you're the chair.
You can take it on. Okay, August will be retreat month.
Yep.
So the retreat is usually just an extension of the regular meeting. We
Not
go
going to Florida or anything?
Yeah, we're not going to Florida.
Disneyland or?
We're going on the overnight trip.
I wanna go to
Sold bag of goods.
That's right, that's
The
right.
only reason I joined this board.
So it would be like 4 o'clock on
We've had
the
sandwiches,
August meeting.
whatever.
We were thinking about something from the SBA.
VSBA.
Yeah, VSBA. Yeah, I thought Andrew put in a good word for them.
And are they gonna cook for us?
Yeah, we have to.
Need
They
to
definitely have PowerPoint.
The culinary
Well, school hasn't started yet.
Janice,
Right.
use the pizza or whatever.
There's a new
They're
pizza
gonna be
place
late
in
to bed.
Northfield that I haven't tried.
Thank you, y'all.
Good, thank you.
Bye-bye. Now, do we not have, we don't have a meeting in July, right? We meet
Right.
in August, so our first meeting is in August.
August 10th.
It's following the retreat.
Okay.
Oh, okay, great. So that's it.
Are we adjourned?
Jody, anything else you want to cover tonight?
I would just say that we may need a special meeting for the new hires, but we'll let you know.
Can it
And we
be a
could do
Zoom
that
thing?
via
That would
Zoom.
be a short Zoom,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Okay, good, excellent.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Have a
You just switching it up on me.